Okay, yay. We're getting things set up here for this amazing eclipse. Now, it's considered a partial lunar eclipse on August 27, 28, depending on your time zone, because it's happening late in the day on the 27th for those of us in more Western time zones, and then early in the after midnight or whatever time it will be for those in the Eastern time zones. So depending on where you are when this is happening, and it's considered partial, but it is a 96.2% eclipse in Pisces. And the thing that I love about Pisces is that it reminds us of the power of love that heals our hearts and our world. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that as we go along. And just that we're just, it's like this is a follow-up from a total lunar eclipse that happens earlier in the month on August 12th. And then we have an almost total lunar eclipse a couple weeks later to follow up on that. So this is kind of a grand opening maybe for the eclipse seasons while the nodes are in Aquarius and Leo. Anything you want to add to that?
Not too much, just that it's I mean, for all intents and purposes, this is really a total lunar eclipse. At 96% coverage it really is to the naked eye when you're looking at it. It just definitely looks like a rusty orange red moon with all the sunsets and sunrises projected upon it. It's going to be a beautiful sight.
Yes. One thing I love about a total lunar eclipse or a lunar eclipse is that what we're seeing is the shadow of the Earth on the face of the moon. So we're looking at our own shadow. Because because this there's the sun, there's the earth, and there's the moon, and the earth is passing between the sun and the moon. So it's our shadow on the face of the moon. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right.
So I thought it would be fun to start out with this quote from Gary Zukov, who is an American spiritual teacher and an author known for his best-selling books on human consciousness, physics, and personal growth. And he had several number one bestsellers, but one of them was The Seat of the Soul. And interesting, I went and looked up his birth chart. His south node is at 3 degrees Pisces, which is very, very close to this eclipse. So it's so perfect that this is the one that really spoke to me. This is the quote that really spoke to me about this. So eventually you will come to understand that love heals everything, and love is all there is. And that's such a Piscean summary, I think. Love heals everything because Pisces is all about healing, and healing through the power of love, of course, is what we have an opportunity to do in an eclipse energy like this. Very cool.
Oh yeah, that is the ultimate thing, and that's kind of what triumphs over all else, if you will, in the world is when you are in that frequency, in that harmony with love in yourself and in co-creation with the universe.
Beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great quote for this full moon eclipse. And speaking of love, cosmic love and unity. So Saint Augustine, it's a great quote from a book that what's his name? James Hollis wrote called The Eden Project. And he wrote a chapter about love, and one of the quotes he drew from is Saint Augustine is love and wanting the other to be. Essentially, it kind of sets things free when you allow yourself and others to just be who they are. And that is a form of love, to just allow that release without some agenda or control mechanism that is going on. So Pisces, as a sign, as an archetype, can experience love or feeling beyond the material realm and into the celestial realm. For Pisces, the dreams of the subconscious are a gateway into the mystic within and without. And it is a craving of sorts to seek out the celestial realm and the divine unity. Love speaks universally about the soul's desire to return to the womb of creation, and Piscean love desires more than the physical other, and it's a bridge to that womb of creation. So, in its highest expression, it transcends the 3D reality. Pisces wants to merge with the great demiurge of creation itself or creation itself. The core love of Pisces desires to be whole with the cosmos, with all that is, including all people and all life. Pisces is also known as the merge master and is an archetypal expression, but like as its ultimate expression wants to transcend and be one with all that is. And it kind of follows into that space so that essentially what is that? That's the essence on a, when we're looking at the soul level, that's love. So that's what kind of carries into that space, into that energy of all that is. So, um, this for those that have Pisces in their charts, or even if you don't, we can all experience that. For Pisces, it becomes more of like definitely a higher priority. And depending on what you're working on in your life. But this is like what I call one of the purposes of Pisces to be on the planet is to have this. And Kaylin, you and I have both some strong Pisces
Oh,
in our respective charts. Your sun and my moon and Mars as examples. But you also have Ceres too in
yeah,
Pisces too.
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah.
not to be discounted.
Right. Also, as you're saying, as you're speaking into this, it's the thing about the Piscean
Uh,
energy of love is what's felt. As so, we could say Aquarius might think that universal love is a great idea. Pisces
yes,
feels it. Pisces embodies it and feels it and expresses it from the feeling realm, not just from the mental, oh, that's a good idea. So yeah,
right.
that's one of the gifts of Pisces. Now, of course, there's the shadow side of Pisces that can be about illusions and delusions and not seeing things for what they really are. And I know that I've tended towards this to see the best in and maybe not see what's really going on, just to try to see the best of what's in a person or what I want to see.
Hmm.
And then later having a little bit of a wake up call, like, oh, maybe I was projecting that, not really seeing or seeing what was possible, but not seeing what was being expressed truly by that person at that time. So anyway, just so that we have that awareness that there can be illusions about what we're seeing. But when it's coming from that place of pure love, I feel like then we're putting an energy into the world that is so needed right now. So yeah. So
Yeah,
this is exciting. This eclipse will amplify all of that.
absolutely. Yeah. Well said.
So here is the time of the eclipse. So I live in Tucson, Arizona, so I ran the chart for Tucson, Arizona, 9:18 p.m. Pacific time, and the moon at 4:54 Pisces, and the timing of when the eclipse begins. It's going to be visible here in and there will be in the show notes. If you want to find out when it's visible where you are, you can put in the link and then put in your place and it will show you. But the partial eclipse will begin around 7:33 p.m. where I am. And then the maximum eclipse will be at 9:12 p.m. And then the eclipse will start to um, return, and then it will be ending around midnight, just after I mean 12:01 p.m. a.m. is like right at midnight is when it's ending here. So again, if you want to have more of the information of when it's happening for you, then go check out the link in the show notes.
Yeah, it's the lunar eclipses tend to be a very long, drawn out affair. Solar eclipses take a lot. They're shorter because, and, and this is mainly because the Earth's shadow cast is usually a lot larger, and so the moon takes a bit longer to travel through that shadow, as opposed to the disk of the moon transiting the disk of the sun, which can still take a few hours, depending on if it's a total or a partial.
But
But you could
totality
see
only
here,
lasts for a short time in a total
right?
eclipse, whereas it lasts can last for like an hour, more than an hour in a lunar eclipse. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you could see how long this is lasting here down at the local time in Tucson, which is the same as currently the same as Pacific daylight time,
yeah, yeah.
because you're Mountain Standard time
Right.
here.
We don't go on daylight time. So for part of the year we're the same as Pacific time, and part of the year we're mountain time. But
And I'm
our
definitely,
clocks don't
yeah,
change.
exactly. I'm a proponent for standard time all around.
Agreed.
Um, there's a bill that they're trying to pass to make daylight savings time permanent,
Yeah.
which I don't mind it in the sense of that I don't have to change the clocks, but I'd rather have it to be standard time all
Agreed. So,
around.
or, and maybe the bill will allow for daylight time all the time or standard time all the time, and then people could choose. That would
Yes,
probably be ideal because,
that would be.
yeah.
That would be very much so.
But Arizona,
Um,
an Aquarian state, has had to go against we're not doing daylight time. And so it never did.
they're rebels down there. What can
Yep.
you do? Uh, all right. So we've got, okay. So more about this. Kayla, do you want
Yeah,
to talk
yeah.
about this?
So basically, this is showing where we'll see another map in a moment of where it is, but all across the U.S. is going to be pretty visible. The whole, or a lot of the most important part of the eclipse will be pretty visible. And you can see here that Mercury is conjunct the Sun, and we're going to talk about Mercury's importance in a moment. And then there's a lineup like the Barbo basket, Pluto to Neptune, and then Neptune to Uranus, and Uranus to Jupiter. And then but the thing that really struck me too was that the sun and the moon are square Uranus. So that's adding this whole unpredictable factor that's connected to this Pisces lunar eclipse. Like it might not go in the ways that we think.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
agreed.
you might think you're going here, and then suddenly you find yourself not going or going somewhere else, or the ways that the unpredictability of the Uranian energy affecting both the sun and the moon and Mercury, by the way, because it's almost exact with Mercury, uh, pretty powerful. And then, of course, Chiron is square Pluto. So if we think about Chiron and Pluto as being representative of the underworld, like death and rebirth and transformational energies, we think of Uranus and Neptune as being celestial expansion of consciousness and awareness and happening in another realm, essentially. And then the what was who am I missing here? And oh, Jupiter and Saturn in trine to one another. Uh,
Yep.
so Jupiter is visible in this world, of course. Yeah, it should be visible by then, actually, because it's far enough away from the sun. It should be
Yeah, Jupiter should
visible
be visible.
in the morning sky. Yeah, and Saturn being visible they're related to this reality, to the world we live in, and being and trying to one another. It's like we could imagine that maybe they're working together to help us create the new reality that's possible based on the transformation that's taking place at this time of this total or almost total lunar eclipse. I guess I should say that. So it feels so powerful with all these alignments, and I know you're going to talk about it a little bit more later, but just to kind of give you a sense of, whoa, this is so um it's this continuing to be the setup that we got last month and we talked about in the Aquarius full moon video. And here we have it continuing on into this next full moon for the Pisces full moon eclipse.
Right. I just realized like I have a slide that's very similar to yours, And it may not, it may be redundant, but it'll just add to the conversation that
Yeah.
we're talking about here. I think that's what you were talking about with
Yeah.
further dialogue here. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, and this whole transition too with the upcoming fire trine um, with Saturn and Jupiter, I think is going to be really important for humanity. Um, we almost had a trine last November with Saturn and Jupiter when they were both, one was stationing direct, the other one was stationing, Saturn was stationing direct, Jupiter was stationing retrograde, and they were kind of like two ships in the night that didn't quite line up, and then they went their separate ways, uh, almost meeting, but not quite, and then they turned opposite directions. Um, but this time we're going to get a series of three of them, and this will be the first one actually just 4 days after the eclipse on the 31st of August.
When they're
We'll
exact.
have when
Yeah.
they're exact.
Then they'll come
Well, you
back and
could,
do it again and come back and do it again. And so this is just opening that doorway.
right. In fact, they're just exactly 1 degree from exact.
I know.
That's
So
pretty remarkable.
pretty remarkable.
Um, so Saturn is going retrograde and Jupiter is still direct. And so they're going to catch up fairly quickly for these outer planets and because they're coming towards each other tech in a sense.
Yeah.
Um not maybe not literally, but in the sky you would look like they were, you
Right. If
know,
you saw them in the sky, you would see that they're
coming
very,
closer.
yeah. But they're going to be, so 90 degrees for a trine. So they'll be far away, but yeah, that
120.
120. I'm sorry. Yes.
I know what you meant by that. I just wanted
Yeah.
to for
So
the
thank you.
clarification.
That's
I
what I meant.
appreciate that.
I meant that.
Yeah, yeah. But
120.
that's
Yeah.
but if someone's like out there, like, okay, you watch because you could see Saturn in the very late evening by then, and then early in the morning, like maybe you sleep some hours, you get up, you see Jupiter, and then you can see if you see Jupiter and Saturn in different parts of the sky, you know what you're seeing is 120 degrees. You're seeing
Yeah.
that's a whole trine that's happening there.
And you
But
can
it's
see
good.
that usually, but if there's clouds or it's the sun's already up, Jupiter may be still visible, or sun's getting ready to come up, and then Saturn might disappear a little bit before that. So you kind of
Yeah,
have to get there when it's still dark.
exactly. Yeah. But and you don't have to specifically only look at it, say on the 31st or on the 27th or the 28th. They're going to be very close together in a trine alignment um, for several days. So you'll have plenty of opportunity in case there are, as you shared, clouds or rain or other obstructions that might be challenging the situation there.
And then if we can't see it, we can still tune in.
That's right. Absolutely. Okay.
So this
This
is just
is,
around moonrise on the 27th. And of course, this is set for Tucson, where I'm at. The moon just coming up over the horizon. And that's around 7:30 p.m. Um, Pacific time. But if depending on your location, and I have mountains in my east, I've said this before, but the moon usually comes up about a half hour later than what it says. So it's not necessarily specific, but at least you have a sense of when to go out and start looking.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you're going to get the background of the water bear, the sea goats to higher in the sky and to the right. So you're getting that part of the sky that's coming up, and we're also going to be talking about more about this with Fomalhaut coming up
You
here
can see
shortly.
that the moon is already starting to darken as it's coming up too. So for depending on where you are, sometimes in some places the moon will be up and then start to darken. In some places it's going to rise up already darkened. And in some
Mhm.
places, I mean, if you're somewhere else in the world, you might not see the eclipse at all. So it's all depending on what your location is.
Yeah, where I live, the eclipse will just have begun as it rises in the east, like the main eclipse. So, um, and again, this is early to mid-evening. So, it's much easier to go out there instead of waiting till 2 o'clock in the morning, which I've done before. to
Yeah.
to see a lunar eclipse, to see this, to connect with this, and obviously it's much more dramatic when you're able to go out and connect with it under the open sky.
Yeah, because totality is supposed to be around 9:13 or 9:18, I forget the exact minutes of on the 27th that night. So for us on the West Coast, well, I'm not on the West Coast, but closer than most. Anyway,
Yeah.
and I know you are on the West Coast. So anyway, it'll the totality is not going to be in the middle of the night. It's going to be early in the mid-evening.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Although those that are on the East Coast, they're going to see, I think they see the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it starts
We'll see
in,
a map in a moment. I think the next slide is a map.
oh
Nope,
yeah, well,
not quite.
it's not, but it's close. We're nearing that point.
Yeah. So again, if you want to find out when these things are happening in your part of the world, there's going to be a link in the show notes so you can do that. But the thing that's fascinating is so they're giving British Standard Time, BST, I think it's British Standard Time here, the different times. And I tried to put in, it looks like the, when it begins 1:33 p.m. Pacific time. Um, I think I actually made an error there. I don't think that's the right time. But then the exact eclipse is at 9:13, like I said, 9:13 our time, but in the UK it's 5:13
Yeah,
a.m.
that's really strange that they've got it listed like that. But
Yeah.
on the right side here, that these are the actual these are the
Right.
times here,
Right.
and you can but you
For
can
local time in Tucson and the UTC
right.
time. Yeah. So what I think I did was I should have put in 6:23 or 6:24 p.m. for the beginning first penumbral contact. And I put in 1:33, which is closer to what, anyway, it's a typo. So I didn't notice that till just now.
Yeah, but you've seen you've got listed the degrees that Pisces is at, three
Yeah.
degrees, 20 minutes, and then reaches 4:54 and then leaves. You can see at the end here it leaves it. So the times are a little bit off on this graphic here, but that's okay. We've got
Right.
the main times right in here on the right side that Kaylin has posted here and down below. Of course, I love this. I don't know if you want to talk about this part here.
Well, so the um, magnitude, like how bright the moon is, and that really refers to the brightness. And the lower the number, the brighter it is. The higher the number, the less bright it is. And then also the fraction of the moon's diameter covered by Earth's umbra. So so the magnitude will dim over the time of the eclipse. Obscuration is how much of the moon's area is covered by the Earth shadow, essentially. Uh,
Hmm.
and the magnitude value, no, the obscuration is 96.2%, as we have mentioned. And then the penumbral magnitude will be 1.9. So that's when it's like more towards the exact time of the eclipse. The overall
Yeah.
duration is 5 hours and 36 minutes from the beginning till the end. Totality, the duration of the partial almost total phase is 3 hours and 18 minutes. And then the duration of the penumbral is 2 hours and 20 minutes, which is when it started. It's like the last image where the moon is still has a little bit of darkness on it, but it's starting to become back to full. So basically what we're seeing is in a few hours, the moon go from full to kind of like a new moon, dark of the moon, and then back to full in like about 5.5 hours. And it's like an acceleration of time, meaning we're having this whole experience we get to witness as the moon darkens, gets dark, bright, and then starts to brighten again. So I always think of it as like accelerating whatever we're holding in intention, whatever we're imagining we want to create, we're accelerating the possibility of that coming into manifestation.
Yeah. I love it because it takes 5.5 hours to go through all the phases essentially of the moon. Um, that's the acceleration of time. That's
It
just
usually
what you're
takes
talking.
29 and a half days to go through all the phases of the moon.
Right, and this is very compressed
Yeah.
into
Indeed.
just an
Yeah.
evening outside.
Yes.
Um, yeah, that's pretty amazing. Here we go. There's the map we're talking about.
Yes. So you can see that most of the US gets to see the whole thing. Yours, like where you are on the Oregon coast, moon rises during partial eclipse. So it's already partially eclipsed by the time it rises. Where I am, it's entering the penumbra. So it's just starting to be eclipsed. And then, um, yeah, so it's just kind of gives you a sense. But again, if you want to find out what's going on where in your location, be sure to check out the link in the show notes so you can enter your location, and it'll tell you what's going on for you.
Beautiful. Yep. There's your location here,
Yep.
and I'm up in here.
Yep. Yep.
But I know a lot of people live on
Right.
the center and the east coast of the
So
US, and then
yeah,
yeah.
so we're in the dark part. That's where the moon rises not eclipsed, then starts to be eclipsed. You see the whole entire eclipse and it come back to brightness before the moon sets. So you can see the whole 5.5 hour show. Whereas in some places you might just see part of it.
Right, right, exactly. All right. So this is the tables for the moonset and moonrise, and sunrise and sunset. So for your location, you'll have to go on here and time and date and put in that information. Anything you want to
Well,
share
just
about
that
this?
it's only 8 minute difference between the moon rising and the sun setting. So the moon's actually technically rising. Now, again, if you have mountains in one side and a flat horizon on the other, there's going to be a longer, you won't see it quite so close. But this is a full moon. The sun is setting as the moon is rising, or the moon is rising as the sun is setting, or the other way around, sunrise and moonset. They're opposite one another. So you're having the opposite experience. So definitely very cool to be able to tune into that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Okay, so as Caitlin shared about this, Mercury is playing a role here, just as it's playing a role in Leo for the August 12th eclipse. Um, because I think is yeah, yeah, because Mercury moves into Virgo on August 25th, and but at the time of the eclipse, there's a just before this that there's a Mercury Sun conjunction. So in the morning time, Pacific time, for the evening eclipse of the lunar eclipse that evening, you're having a Mercury Sun conjunction here at 10:03 a.m. Pacific. So this is strongly lending the Earth mind patterns to the eclipse narrative, along with the greater mini grand trine and Barbolt's basket that had formed and is ongoing currently, certainly at the time of this recording on August 5th. So the Virgo mind with Mercury in Virgo, which is a also a sign that traditionally Mercury does rule, but in shamanic astrology, um, Mercury has a greater resonance with Gemini, but there's still a strong connection between Virgo and Mercury. So the Virgo mind is all about the details, the patterns, and the sacred work of the world. Excuse me. I'm still recovering from a virus. You may be hearing it in my voice. So my voice is a little different than it would normally otherwise be. Um, but the Virgo mind is a wonderful investigator that's able to see things that others may take longer to detect. Virgo is always attempting to see the deeper order of things, but also to make sacred and orderly their own patterns. So it can, the Virgo mind can also be perceived by others as tedious, perfectionist, judgmental, or unyielding. But these are not necessarily personal. Virgo is simply pointing out through observation where things belong. Now, this is, I think, the Virgo energy, because it's is this during this full moon eclipse, we have the sun, of course, is opposite the moon and in the sign of Virgo. And at the time of the eclipse, Mercury is only about a degree away from the sun, and obviously a degree away from the opposition. And so there's something about the keenness of the mind and the sacredness of this energy that is coming through for this eclipse and how important it is. So Mercury's reminding us to pay attention, to look at the details, to be an observer in our own life, but also in what is around us as well. And then the next day, the 28th, Mercury will square Uranus and be part of that, additional layer of that mini grand trine, the Barbault's basket. Like all these outer planets and now the inner planets are playing are showing up and adding their cosmic wisdom to the matrix, if you will.
I love this Mercury also being the messenger. And so,
Yeah.
what are the messages that Mercury's bringing? And when Mercury's conjunct the sun, of course, the word everybody likes to use nowadays is cazimi, meaning it's in the heart of the sun. And I think of the sun as being the source of light and life for our planet. So if it's this pure source energy and Mercury's connected to that pure source, what are the messages coming from this pure source energy to us to, here during this eclipse time? So that's kind of something that feels alive for me when I think about, oh, the messenger has a message for us, and let's pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. All right. So this is just another uh, example of how all these planets are interconnected here during this partial lunar eclipse, further activating Barbell's basket, as Caitlin talked about and listed all the different aspects in the previous slide. When you can see Chiron is also playing a role. I didn't have a line drawn to Chiron, but Chiron just is certainly a an important part of all of this. And I have a Chiron and Taurus video that I talk about what Chiron Taurus means. But as what Chiron brings into this is the deeper awareness and our relationship to what we value in ourselves and the world, especially around resources such as oil and money. Collectively, like what are we working with? And um, this it's heralding an important relationship economically for humanity, but also on a personal level. Like, are we confident in ourselves? How secure are we? Do we value who we are and what we're doing in the world? Those are questions we can ask ourselves during this too. But I like that this eclipse is activating all of this and helping to evolve our consciousness to a higher level. And the Barbell's basket, while that will be ending as Jupiter is moving farther and farther away from that activation point, um, the mini grand trine will continue to be ongoing through 2029, and then even Pluto and Neptune will be sextile through I think 2033, at least in exact. But they're going to still, like, all these outer planets are still going to have uh relationship with each other within 10 degrees, so for some years to come. So that energy is still going to be strongly with us. So we can think of this as just this moment and this eclipse as a major acutely felt highlight that happens for humanity and for us to tune into in ourselves with the strong Pisces energy. And it's also a North Node eclipse. So it has a lot to do, even though we're looking at our shadow, it's mixed in as the shadow gets um alchemized with our humanity's destiny point or future. What do we need to work on when that shadow in order to effectively bring in ideas about our future that is going to be helpful for humanity and the earth. All of that is wrapped up into just this right here, this moon and north node position. But then you add in the Mercury, the Sun and Virgo, and all these other things, and it provides another layer of great importance for humanity here.
I love a couple of things. One is when we're looking at our shadow, shadow doesn't always mean that it's negative. Sometimes it's the things we don't see that are our gifts.
Yes.
So hopefully we can maybe see that can help us get to our destiny. So that's a piece of it. The 4 degrees sun and moon, Virgo, Pisces, 4 degrees was the whole 4 degree thing of the um, a Barbos basket in July. And so
Yeah.
this is happening at 4 degrees. So that four, even though it's not necessarily connected into, I mean, Uranus, it is square Uranus. Both the sun and the moon are square Uranus that has now moved to 5 degrees, 5.5 degrees. But still, it's like, it feels like maybe it's the story that's unfolding and there's some twists and turns that we weren't necessarily expecting, but they're going to be so much more amazing and magical as the whole thing unfolds. That's kind of the sense I'm getting about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that too. I feel that too. Yeah, this is remarkable. That whole 4 degree connection is pretty amazing. For this to happen at 4 degrees with all the barbell basket alignment at 4 degrees, uh, the universe is continuing to send us messages.
Right, and they're not subtle.
No,
I think it's like this is clear. Pay attention. This is something to pay attention to, and be co-creators with this energy because that's the opportunity that we have is to be in that co-creative space with this energy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
And it'll get accelerated because because it's an eclipse. So anyway, we're going to talk about now the Fomalhaut. And basically, the essence of Pisces is loving, caring, empathic, intuitive, and imaginative, just to kind of sum it up very tightly, everything we've said. And the shadow of Pisces can be the victim, having illusions, being checked out, overgiving, or giving to get. So that those can be the shadow pieces, but also the shadow can be that it's really its energy is intended to be loving and empathic and caring and all of that. But if we're not tapping into that, then it's the shadow that needs to come to light so that we can energize that. And then, so the first thing for Pisces, which is all about being, how can I help and heal, is heal or heal thyself. Heal yourself first. And then from a place of strength and a place of healthy, alive sense of being, then being able to help others. Dreaming into a kind, caring, shared reality, also selfless service to the divine and to self and others, embracing life in all its dimensions, because Pisces can definitely connect into all the amazing dimensions that we're not always aware of in our day-to-day life. And then helping and healing all wounds and feeling the full range of grief, sorrow, rage, excitement, enthusiasm, and joy. So feeling all the feelings. And I will say that I've been very aware and you might, for those of you who saw the Aquarius video, I had the whole coughing lung thing going on, and it's getting better. It's better. I'm still got a little bit of it, but it's pretty much gone now. But really tuning into the grief, like what is the grief that we maybe thought we had grieved, maybe didn't fully grieve, and it still needs some grief, some opportunity for us to feel it. So how do we give ourselves permission to feel that in a healthy way so that it can be transmuted and transformed into a healthier expression? And in the water bear, where this full moon is taking place, it being overlaid by the season of Pisces, we could imagine this is a visionary pouring of the healing waters towards all life, towards the planet, towards whatever you want to say. And also because it's going to connect with this star Fomalhaut, it's aligned with Fomalhaut. So we're going to talk about that more now. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, also that. feeling the full range of all these different emotions that can lead to ecstatic experience as well.
Yes.
Um, and like all of them happening all at once. That's yeah. I think that's essentially the quote ecstasy, if you will, of all that is. Um, and that's like it's that connection of Pisces to the some of the themes of Dionysus or Bacchus of the Greco-Roman period.
Beautiful. Yeah. And so giving ourselves permission to feel is a big
Yes,
part of this. And I think doing it during an eclipse like this accelerates the healing process.
yes, yes. I agree.
Might be a little intense, but
It
probably
might
worth
be.
it.
All right, so Fomalhaut, yeah, this is I think it's definitely one of the four Royal Persian stars, along with Regulus and Antares and Aldebaran. This is a star that's at the mouth of the Southern Fish, at 414 Pisces. It represents as the royal star, the Watcher of the South, or the connecting to the winter solstice symbolically. At one time, it was connected there, like literally at 4,500 years ago. But you know, some definitions of Fomalhaut astrologically talk about great talent, luck, or beauty among the good fortune or charisma and mystical and magical qualities of this book. That's from Elizabeth Hazel's book, Little Book of Fixed Stars. And then the stream of sweet water received by this fish comes from Aquarius's cup. So, as one of the slides we showed, that the eclipse is happening in the constellation of the Water Bearer, what astronomers still call Aquarius, is, this cup is filled with the cosmic wisdom, the cosmic waters. And so that water is streaming to the mouth of the southern fish. As you can see in this graphic, I have it here to represent that cosmic wisdom coming in. And so it's showing that the purification of the desire nature is a preparative, preparative phase in the initiation process. So spiritual birth, the kingship not of this world. So that's like there's a connection to like assuming this sort of greater ascension into the cosmic realm itself, and initiating yourself to that space. And that comes from the fixed stars in the chart by Oscar Hoffman. That's that quote there. And then around 500 BC, Fomalhaut was the object of sunrise worship in the temple of Demeter and Eleusis. Always associated the mind of the star lover with Capella, rises far from it, as these two stars rise almost simultaneously. That comes from William Tyler Olcott in Star Lore Myths and Legends and Facts. There's a lot of great books out there, including Star Names. I don't have it listed here, but you can find additional insights about the star and tune into it yourself about what this means for you. But it sits at that really, near the beginning of the sign of Pisces, and certainly is imbued and connects with that archetypal energy that we've been talking about, that Caitlin has been talking about, I've been talking about with Pisces. So I happen to have like my natal moon is my personal star of that moon is Fomalhaut, because it was less than a degree away when I was born, from the moon by zodiacal degrees. And so I have, like, you might say, some of these qualities that come in through that moon, and the moon being a representative of what we mastered coming in this lifetime, our foundation, our connection to, what we're good at, familiar with, and trying to evolve that energy into a form that supports our life purpose. And so, as this eclipse, we can also look at that, especially for those that are born during this moment. New babies being born during this lunar eclipse, they're going to have Fomalhaut. They're going to have this not just this eclipse energy, but this lunar energy that is coming through too. So it's going to be a very personal thing. And if you happen to have anything in Pisces or in Sagittarius or Gemini or Virgo in this area, you're definitely going to be at the effect of this, especially anything within about 10 degrees of this. You'll be under the influence of that. And 6 degrees for the star full moon.
And it's at
Um,
4 degrees. I love that. So we were just talking about the
and
degree thing.
yes,
Fomalhaut is at 4 degrees. And also
well,
it's opposite Regulus. Not exact, precise degree wise, because I think
yeah,
Regulus is 0 Virgo and Fomalhaut's 4 Pisces, but they're opposite. And so the sun
yeah,
is with Regulus and the moon is with Fomalhaut at this eclipse.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So just energies to keep in mind.
Right. And Regulus is the star of the heart of the lion and the lion constellation. And it moved into the sign of Virgo back in 2011. In fact, you and I were talking about that briefly before we started recording. And so, yeah, so if you obviously you're not going to be able to see Regulus right now because the sun or no, sorry, at that time of the eclipse, you won't be able to see Regulus. But then by I think the second week of September, roughly in that zone, you'll be able to see Regulus. I remember seeing it on September 8th or 9th when I was at a retreat, and the moon, Mercury, and Regulus were all rising just before the sun. So it was just like just enough of a window of separation from the sun to Regulus that I was able to see it before the sunrise, and it was spectacular. Um, okay, so Fomalhaut is the alpha star. So just these are just some things about the constellation and this a little bit about the star. The constellation is also the fish in Celtic mythology that swallows a magical ring, only to have it retrieved later by the story's hero. There's definitely a lot of other myths out there about this. I think of also the Lord of the Rings and the ring disappearing and then being refound, he's swallowed by the water. Anyway, that whole hero's journey was powerful too. So it's also the constellation is symbolic of the nature of enchantment, where one accomplishes things through deep natural understanding of the nature of relationships rather than the use of willpower. And then it's supposed to have this constellation is supposed to have taken its name from the transformation of Venus into the shape of a fish when she fled terrified at the horrible advances of the monster Typhon. So I think that, in fact, in that area of the sky, Cetus is right
Yeah.
there as
Yeah.
well. So I think it's playing a role in Typhon, and there's a correlation to Typhon there. And so it's interesting that they correlate Venus with the southern fish here, so that it shows part of her Venus's as a goddess, Aphrodite, her watery nature. And in fact, there's a what is that painting of her coming out of the seashell, right? Or the
Yeah.
clam?
Mm. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, Venus, I forget the other name, but yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah, coming up out of the waters and on the seashell. Yeah.
Right. So she's got definitely major connections with the watery realm. And anyway, just something to think about and consider in our own humanities association and the feminine and feelings and the depth of the psyche and the soul. Like that's what essentially we're talking about here at a deeper level. And so the Southern Fish constellation has a strong resonance with that, the depth of who we are that's
Mhm.
coming up.
And it's connected to the eclipse because the moon is right above it, beaming,
Yes.
you know, bringing our attention to this part of the sky, and adding that magical energy to this eclipse energy. Pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, Now, this is the eclipse is right up in here. I don't have it listed here. Maybe I should have added it to this slide here, but there's Pisces. I mean, there's sorry, Fomalhaut in the Southern Fish constellation. But the eclipse is going to be up here, but you can see Cetus not far from here. So there's that correlation we were just talking about here. So this is as you're looking at the sky, and if you've got a good, strong horizon and no cloud cover, you'll be able to see Fomalhaut. It's really the only bright star in that whole area. There's nothing else unless you're under like, and then you'll see other stars, of course, if you're under really dark skies. But Fomalhaut's really the only one that is visible there and very prominent in that area. All right, so I'll go ahead with this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is more about the Pisces desire to transcend and the loving compassion that is toward a wholeness. So Dane Bridgar in his book Astrological Signs: The Pulse of Life, he writes about Pisces. It's in its highest and most spiritual aspect, Pisces reveals itself as pure compassion. And this eclipse is connected to that as well, obviously being in the sign of Pisces. Compassion is the absolute law of a universe in which there is order and harmony. Compassion is the heart of reality because reality is based on the experience of organic wholeness, and he who truly experiences all things as organic wholes cannot fail to see himself as part of some greater whole, however much he may have attained integral wholeness in his own being. So it's about really the realization that we're not just part of the greater whole, but that as you experience that, you also experience the compassion that is all around us. And as much as we could say that there's this physical universe that doesn't have, the same human feelings or emotions around us, it really like there is an interconnection of our consciousness and our ability to connect with all that is through compassion, through love, as we've talked about before. And again, this is a quote from Dane Bridgar in his book, Astrological Signs: The Pulse of Life on page 131. That's a really great, it's a lot of philosophical language around each of the 12 signs, aka the archetypes. And it's kind of a worth the read. And it's even just reading a few pages, you want to sit back a little bit and ponder and go inward and find out what's coming through.
Yeah, I love this idea that this eclipse can maybe help us tune into the wholeness that already exists within us. It's inside of us. We tend to seek it outside of ourselves because that's the conditioning we have. But it just feels like that the sense that the wholeness already exists within us, the divinity already exists within us, however you want to describe that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And then the Sabian symbol of the lunar eclipse. This is 5 Pisces, a church bazaar. So some of the key words: overcoming loneliness and alienation, selling things, the issue of real worth, a lot of effort for small rewards, small scale commercial bartering and interchange, the collection plate, generosity and charitable community attitudes, jars of jam and things handmade, bric-a-brac, bargains, practical spirituality, volunteers, people sharing the load, charity work, money raising, and so forth. So, how I interpret this is a moment of letting go of things that no longer serve but could serve others along their own path. So, it has connotations of doing the good work. So, being of service, or really being of service to the community and to the divine. It is a time to seek out bargains and may change the lives of the seller and the buyer. So there's a little bit of this mercantile exchange energy. I find that fascinating because Mercury on the other side of the eclipse in Virgo has certainly strong associations with being at one time the god of merchants and commerce and things like that. So there is a strong connection there that Mercury's playing, and I think this eclipse emphasizes at least one shade of this, one thread of this eclipse brings about.
I love this. This is adds to the whole high magic of everything that's going on. And being of service, the intent to be of service is that it's fulfilling for you in the moment. It's not like you're waiting for a reward down the road, but that in the moment of that being of service, there's something that's very fulfilling about that. Then you know you're on the right track. If you're giving to get or giving for a reward down the road, then that's not the right reason. That's not the best reason for doing.
No,
Yeah. So,
exactly. Yeah, you're right.
yeah. Yeah. So, this is the nakshatra for the where this full moon is located in the water bearer. And the degrees of this nakshatra are from 0 Pisces 31 to 13 Pisces 50. So that almost 5 degrees uh, full moon is right in this. And this is the nakshatra that's connected to 100 physicians or the 100 healers. So perfect because, of course, Pisces is all about helping and healing. And it's just adding to that energy. I feel like the fact that it's located in this part of the sky. And so this symbol of Shatabisha, is the symbol. It's an empty circle with 4 lightning bolts emanating from the circle, signifying the subtle electrical force present in all things. There are also smaller circles portraying electrons circumnavigating an atomic nucleus. It resembles a turtle. I totally see that. The carrier of the world and the transpersonal nature of this often eccentric, reclusive, scientific, and mystical nakshatra. So,
Wow.
so it carries some pretty good energy. And this nakshatra really symbolizes deep healing, cosmic law, and hidden truth. So there's that healing aspect, coming up again, deep healing possible, the possibility of what is here. It's also linked with the North Node that in Vedic astrology they call Rahu, and it's presided over by Varuna, who is the Vedic god of the cosmic waters, earth, and sky. So, of course, that we've already been talking about all that, but this is just kind of emphasizing that further. And then Rahu symbolizes material cravings and obsession. That's the shadow side of that. Anyway,
Mm.
but it also represents the future path, sudden gains, and going beyond boundaries, governing high ambition, confusion, and futuristic innovation. So it's like a balance between the more challenging aspects, because high ambition can be a good thing depending on what's motivating it, and it can also be not such a good thing depending on what's motivating it. So, uh, anyway, just some additional energy that's associated with this eclipse.
Yeah, I love the symbol. Well, excuse me. Wow. All right. You go ahead,
Okay.
Caitlin.
Well, no, I really want to hear what you have to say, but I get the coughing thing because I definitely have been doing that. But anyway, maybe it's not so easy to see, but but this nakshatra does cover a lot of the water bearer constellation. And one of the things I do when I'm sharing these nakshatras is I'm giving the tropical degrees, meaning the seasonal signs, and not how they do it in Vedic astrology, because they would say this was in Aquarius. These are in the sign of Aquarius, but Aquarius no longer, the seasonal sign of Aquarius no longer overlays the constellation of the water bearer. So I like to give the tropical degrees so we can have the sense of how these two things work together. So this Piscean energy, and it just feels to me like, the deep healing, cosmic law, hidden truths, the, the possibilities that are here, are amplified by the fact that it's actually Pisces overlaying this part of the sky at this time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, thank you for giving me a moment here.
Yeah.
That the symbol it reminds me of a turtle. So it has that sort of that safe space, protective shell around it, but also sort of the it's almost like the legs are lightning bolts that are coming out energetically connected into the cosmos there. So anyway, I find that
I love it.
fascinating looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a
And
very
so, oh, what?
I said it's a very cool symbol. Definitely
Yeah.
looks like a turtle.
Yeah, and my moon and Mars fall into that particular nakshatra on my chart. And so does your series. Um, I don't think your sun, does your sun
No, my
fall
son
into?
is just outside of it because it's at 14 something,
Okay.
1440 or something. So yeah, not quite in there. It's a different nakshatra, but yeah, so
Right.
if you have planets in these degrees, then you have a connection to this energy personally.
Yeah, yeah. Well, thank you. Let's see. All right. Oh, wow, we're already at the end. Okay.
We're gonna wrap this up. So this Pisces lunar eclipse is accelerating the power of love. And the whole cosmic waters and all the possibilities and everything that we've talked about coming up to this. And this quote by Osho, who happens to have his midheaven at 0 degrees Pisces. So he's also connected to that nakshatra, by the way,
Hmm.
as well as this eclipse energy. But he says, love is the most healing force in the world. Nothing goes deeper than love. It heals not only the body, not only the mind, but also the soul. If one can love, then all one's wounds disappear. Then one becomes whole, and to be whole is to be holy.
Mm.
So this is such a good way to just sum up what we've been talking about, and maybe come back and connect with this. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. I'll just put the words of this quote in the show notes so that people can come back to it easily if they want to.
Beautiful. No, that's very powerful. Powerful way to end this.
Yeah. So until we meet again
Until we
uh,
meet again.
for the next full moon, this has been fun, Eric. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Kaylin, for being here. And I hope everyone gets to see this powerful lunar eclipse and to at least connect with it, be with it, and enjoy your experience. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.